Hi, and welcome to Exaggerated Facial Expressions in ZBrush and Maya, presented by Digital Tutors. My name is Justin, and I'll be your instructor as we sculpt a library of facial expressions for our character. Exaggerated characters often use equally exaggerated facial expressions to convey emotion. Using shape animation gives you a great deal of control over the character's expression, but it can be time-consuming to create all the various pieces that you need for animation. We'll use ZBrush to make this process easy and a lot of fun. We'll sculpt the various expressions as a whole, but we'll also look at ways to sculpt individual shapes that we can then combine into various expressions, either in ZBrush or in Maya, and we'll cover a few phonemes and adding normal maps, as well as setting up the blend shapes in Maya. Okay, so let's jump right in by starting on our first expression. So our first expression, we're going to have a little bit of fun and just kind of play around a little bit. And so let's make this guy look like he's just about ready to get sick. Okay, so let's look at some of the ways that we can do this. So right now we've just got a default kind of expression, kind of a blank expression. So the first thing we'll do is modify the eyebrows. Now, one thing to be aware of is cartoony figures, this is going to be a bit different, but just be aware that there's a bone under here, this brow bone, and so the skin is going to slide on top of this. Okay. Now you're going to see a lot of examples of cartoon characters where this just moves on its own. So we'll have a little bit of freedom. We also want to make sure that this eyebrow itself, which is sculpted in, we don't want that really to compress or change shape all that much. We want it to kind of move along with the skin on this brow. All right, so there's kind of a couple large muscles or parts of muscle up here, the frontalis, that's going to come and connect to our eyebrows and be able to move that in a few different ways. So what we want to do is kind of shape this. All right, so for the most part, it's going to move sort of at this kind of an angle rather than kind of straight up and straight across. So that's something to be aware of. We also want to add some asymmetry, so we don't necessarily want to do this symmetrically the same on both sides. So I can go ahead and turn my symmetry off. And if we're going to make any large-scale changes, I like to start with those at kind of the lower levels, and then we can always move up and make any modifications. But we want as much detail here with our changes to be on our actual mesh that we're going to be using. So beyond using our standard brush, we want to actually use our move brush, because we want to actually move these things around. So I'm going to grab the move brush, kind of a larger brush size. You can see how that allows you to kind of move these things around. So let's go ahead and shape the brow. So on his right side, I'm going to pull that brow up into kind of a more of a surprised kind of look, and I want to try not to deform the shape of this brow as much as possible as far as compressing it or anything like that. So I'm going to bring this up, and let's do it kind of uniformly all the way around. Okay, you can work your way up your subdivisions and see how that looks. Continue to kind of move it up. Okay, something like that for that side. For this other side, I kind of want just the interior part to move up. Okay, so I'll go ahead and move this up a bit. Going to move that down. Okay, and we'll move this in just a little bit. Now it doesn't look too much different right now. It's just kind of got some eyebrow movement in there. Let's go ahead and go down to level 1, and let's open up these eyes quite a bit. So let's kind of make them as wide as we possibly can. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this. And just open up those eyes as much as we can on the top there. Okay, and we'll do the same thing over here. Open that up even though we don't have as much room under there. We want them to be just open as much as they can be. Okay, we can go up our levels to see how that's looking. That comes off of the eye a bit. We can bring that back in. Bring that around the eye. And I don't want to do too much moving at this level. You start to get bumps and things in there. So we just kind of open that eye up. Okay, so now he just kind of looks a little bit concerned, maybe. We can continue to work on the brows and get him kind of just the way we want to. Go all the way up to 6 and take a look at it. Alright, so that's a good place to start with the eye area. Now let's work down here on the mouth. And what we want to do is pretend that he's kind of got his lips shut tight and he's kind of got his cheeks puffed out, kind of with air. Okay, so his lips are going to be shut tight, and then all of this, got large cheeks because he's so exaggerated, and it's going to be puffed out with sort of seams or creases where it's attached to the actual structure underneath. So, or it's kind of attached to the bone, to the gums and things like across the cheek and so forth. So start by turning these lips in, because as he is shutting his mouth, we want all of that lip to be inside rather than just pulling this straight down. We want all of this lip to be on the inside of the mouth. So the lips are turned in, basically. So we kind of want to keep track of this line here as we do this. So we can come in here, and this time we can use our symmetry and kind of bring up that outer line and pull in that lip underneath a bit. Again, I'm trying not to deform things too much here. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up the corners of the mouth a bit. Okay. Bring down that top of the lip there. Okay. As we do this, we can also start to pull out the lip just a little bit. Right now I'm just concentrating on getting these lips sort of together. And you have to size your brush down a little bit if you don't want to affect the lower lip. So kind of bring that lip up and underneath. Okay. And start to bring that lip down. Bring this lip up. And we can also smooth out a little bit of this corner area where it comes together. Up like that. And let's just get them kind of as close as possible. Want them to really connect there. And let's go ahead and smooth out some of these areas out here, and let's actually start to pull out the cheeks a little bit too. So we'll just grab our move and just start to pull these out. All this kind of flap in here. Just kind of pull that out a little bit at a time. Is always better than trying to just do it all at once. Okay. And right here, we want to make sure we don't pull out any of the chin. We want to just concentrate kind of along this line up and over the chin as we pull these areas out. And a lot of these wrinkles and things are going to smooth out a bit when we pull this all out. Okay, so continue to pull this out. move up and we kind of smooth some of these areas out, and also continue to define that a little bit more. Don't be afraid to exaggerate a little bit, overshoot it a little bit. Okay, you can see I still want that edge of that lip to come down a little bit more. But we can continue to work on that. And then just really pull that out. And just continue to, just touching that with the smooth to pull that out. You can continue to pull out this a bit more. We can also pull up the area underneath the eyes, just right down here. Okay, this is still making it look a little bit weird because we don't have the edge all the way down. So grab this and just try to turn it inside there if we can. What we can also do is just to smooth this out a little bit, this edge. And if you do a little bit too much smooth, we can go ahead and get our actual smooth brush and take our intensity down. And then we can sort of smooth this out a bit. Go back to move. Pull that up. Pull that down. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and continue in the next lesson. I'm going to keep working on these lips, and we'll make this kind of line down here. We'll also look at moving the head back so that this is kind of we get a little bit of overlapping skin under here. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on our first expression in the next lesson.